Hi everyone. Anything new today? Anything exciting that we might want to talk about? No? Not, it's just a normal day today. Yeah, I guess. What the fuck? Everyone, welcome on back to the channel. I mean, of course we have some incredible news to talk about today. There's a few things to cover in terms of the blog post in ArenaNet's approach to their next expansion and some of the shifts that they're working towards for expansion 6. And then also we have concept art for 2 Elite Specializations. Yes, it has been confirmed now, even though we have all kind of known, that Elite Specializations are coming with the newest expansion, with a couple changes to how we might expect these Elite Specializations to launch and what they're launching with. So before we get into the meat of the concept art, I want to talk about the blog post first, just to kind of have a groundwork for expansion 6. We're going to read Finding the Right Rhythm first. It reads, Guild Wars 2 Jan Wilds launched in August of last year, followed by 3 quarterly updates. After the first of those updates arrived in November 2024, we heard consistent feedback from the community. The additional story content felt too short, and the lack of a new open world map made the update feel noticeably light. Similar reactions to story scope followed the second and third releases, signaling that the pacing and structure of these releases could better align with your expectations. For our next expansion, we're refining that structure to give each update more depth and impact. The first quarterly release after the expansion's launch will not include new story or map content, which I'm also kind of worried about. Instead, it will focus on updates to core systems and long-standing features. This approach gives us the space to revisit foundational elements of the game, improvements that support the long-term health of Guild Wars 2, and reflect the design philosophy outlined in the Building Smarter, Not Bigger section below. By focusing on story and map development in the second and third quarterly updates, we're able to make those releases more robust and satisfying. Each will introduce a larger, more content-rich map and a longer, more fully developed story than what players saw in the equivalent Guild Wars 2 Jan Wilds updates. While the total amount of story content across the expansion is increasing modestly, the bigger benefit is how much more meaningful each individual release will feel, along with the scope improvements to the open world maps. This approach allows for more complete and satisfying story arcs, and it results in a net increase in total content delivered over the course of the expansion. I am cautiously optimistic about this route they're going. With the first update that we had in Jan Wilds, I do remember it feeling quite sparse, and I'm now just kind of worried how everyone is going to feel about the very first patch of expansion 6, as they're not implementing any story or map, and it's just going to be more quality of life features. I'm just kind of nervous as to how much they're actually going to be bringing us in that first quarterly update to satisfy us, to keep us entertained, and to keep us invested in the expansion. There are a few missing pieces here which do leave me cautious. However, I do feel optimistic that those quarterly 2 and quarter 3 releases will feel much larger. I at least hope so. If they end up just jam-packing those with story and fully complete maps that have elements like side quests and dynamic events and world bosses, we might feel a little bit more appeased with that, especially with how quickly they are able to turn out expansions. Leaving us feeling better in the finishing portion of the expansion is probably much smarter than leaving us feeling strong about the initial release of the expansion and then slowly tapering off with a bit more disappointment towards the end. So maybe it'll work out for the best. Let's talk about the next expansion and Elite Specializations. I'm going to first read the little section about Elite Specializations, and then we're going to talk about the concept art that we saw today. New tricks for every trade. Over the past 2 expansions, we've expanded options for combat by giving you more tools to customize your builds and play your way. Secrets of the Obscure introduced new weapon proficiencies for every profession and separated relics from runes to deepen build crafting. The addition of Weapon Master training was also a major step forward in allowing players to freely mix and match Elite Specialization weapons across builds, and the addition of Land Spears offered a new weapon for every profession to use. With our next expansion, we're taking the next step. Elite Specializations are making a return, this time designed to work together with the flexible build crafting system we've been refining over the past few years. However, these new specializations won't come with dedicated weapons. There you go. Instead, each one introduces unique profession mechanics, a new trait line, utility skills, an elite skill, a healing skill, and distinct playstyles without locking you into a specific weapon or equipment loadout. These new specializations are designed to feel fresh, fun, and unique to Guild Wars 2 while building on the systems you already know and love. We'll have much more to share soon. So yes, it is Elite Specializations that have been teased throughout the weeks, and no new weapons. I really felt this in my heart of hearts. I felt that tackling Elite Specialization in a more pure sense with its trait lines, its profession mechanic changes, and its utility skills is absolutely good enough for me as a long-time veteran player who is obsessed with buildcraft and continuing the themes of the professions and the lore. I'm okay with that. Weapons can come and they can go now that they have kind of decoupled them from being tied to Elite Specializations. They're able to introduce them into expansions where they see fit. So, with that being said, my mind immediately goes to what we'd get even for Expansion 7. I would not mind if perhaps we got a batch of Elite Specializations this round, and the next expansion is where they do all of the weapons. Maybe those weapons would take a little inspiration from the previous Elite Specs just to kind of accent those, perhaps. And then Expansion 8, so a couple years in advance, maybe they'll do another cycle of Elite Specs. I wonder how much time they're able to save and also efficiency they're able to hone in on by not having to do new weapons and really just give the trait lines and the profession mechanics all of the love and the attention that they need. And I'm really excited to see how colorful all of these Elite Specializations are and how drastically they'll change the profession mechanics for each class. So, concept art. Oh my gosh. Okay, right out the gate, Paragon and Ritualist. I am so ecstatic to see this. When it comes to the icons, I now have a stronger feeling that that helmet icon really is in fact warrior. And it looks so similar to the warrior profession icon. It's more so an elevated version of it. I like that. I think it's kind of cute. And yeah, one reason we know that this is warrior other than the color scheme is also the concept art character. Warrior concept art, or the warrior profession, is distinguished in its concept art by being a large Norn. This is a beautiful, stunning, muscular, look at those thighs. Those thighs are beefy. I want to just take a bite. And yeah, it's the warrior. We've seen this guy in a bunch of other concept. And the spear, the wings, the golden symbol behind it. I'm just curious as to what type of utility skill they're going to get. Are they getting symbols? They already have shouts. Are they getting prayers? I haven't also played too much Paragon, so I'll have to do a little bit of research. But yeah, Warrior is getting Paragon, which I think would be amazing, as Warrior has a couple supportive elements, but doesn't really have an elite specialization that really lets their healing and their group support shine in a way that the other classes all have access to. So I'm really hoping that this is a supportive healer that might have a little bit of flexibility in being more of that bruisery tank. Those options could be amazing to see. And then on the other hand, we have Necromancer, as the Necromancer class is depicted by an Asuran. And this Asura is wielding a bunch of green spectral magic. Now, I'm not gonna lie, we've had a lot of spectral motifs on Necromancer over the past few years, and I'm kind of over it. I at least was. I wanted a little bit more bone and blood and rot. That being said, I will accept this. I will make an exception and accept the Ritualist. It's in its name. You're channeling spirits. And the reason I know that this is Ritualist is not just because of the outfit, but because of the spirit that is being summoned behind the Necromancer. In End of Dragons, we were able to fight a bunch of Canthan a bunch of Canthan Ritualists, and they would summon these mobs. This specific mob that was tied to the Ritualist enemies. And I think I was just talking about this on stream like 2 days ago or something. I was like, we never really got to play Ritualist, and these summons are pretty cool. And I had no idea that this was actually coming to any of the classes this time around. So it was divine timing. Something deep into my brain and in my spirit was being channeled by the Ritualist. We know that Ritualists in Guild Wars 1 are also very group oriented in terms of their support features. They have elements where they can summon spirits to buff their allies and regenerate and heal their allies. And I think that could be really cool for a necromancer. They already have the Scourge specialization, which is a really strong healer support class. However, they don't do that through the means of direct healing, but more so through barrier application and shielding. And I think that in the category of support and healing, you have this flexibility where you can create an elite spec focusing on shielding healing and shielding support. And then you can have a healer be a pure healer through raw health regeneration aspects. So that's one thing Necromancer doesn't have too much of at the moment. They have it in their core trait line, but they don't really have an elite spec to support that as strongly as they might be getting now. I cannot wait. And I also hope that the Ritualist has a fundament or an aspect or maybe an element of summoning multiple spirits at the same time. I kind of like the idea of being a zookeeper and micromanaging a few of your summons. These probably will be more temporary and maybe they will drain your life force as you have them summoned, similar to like a Revenant upkeep. Maybe through your abilities and utility skills, you're able to regenerate life force and keep them going for longer. That could be a fun push and pull play style. But I'm so excited. I really want to play like a beta test already, even from the concept art. I just want to get in game and try these out and see what they're cooking. But we'll have to wait a few more days because next week we have the expansion reveal. And in that expansion reveal, I'm expecting to see at least a little bit of gameplay for the elite specs. And then perhaps we're going to get an elite specialization beta announcement. We usually are able to beta test these. So yeah, I just feel so energized right now. And with that energy, I want to direct that towards you all. How are you all feeling? Comment down below your reactions to both, at least I'm going to say it, the Paragon and the Ritualist being confirmed. If they don't go with these names, I'm going to be so sad. But yeah, we at least know what they kind of are and taking inspiration from. Thank you all for coming on by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Comment down below what you have to say about the concept art and also the blog post in terms of the adjustments to their quarterly updates for expansion 6. I'd like to know all of it down below. Subscribe, like, comment, and if you'd like to follow me over on Twitch, I stream on the weekends and Friday. Catch me over there. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. Mwah.